Do the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, you're going to lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gracias.
Right.
Somebody can have mine. Like he's got enough,
Sally,
does he?
put
Oh,
that.
yes.
1 and 6 are qualified as rebate.
We've got some minutes to review.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the May 9th non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes of number 1 for May 9th.
I'll second.
Wait,
The
Those were the ones
non-public
we-
sealed.
we just did the number 1. That was what we just approved.
Oh, what is trust? Yeah.
They were out of order in your packet.
Ah,
It was non-public number 1 that Ted
Gotcha.
moved. And
gotcha. All right, well, I'll do the number 2, sealed.
I'll second sealed.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then there's
Make
one
a-
more.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 9th regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? I don't see any. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A moment where I couldn't remember the word favor. I guess that happens. Okay, that's the wrong piece of paper. All right. All regular meetings will begin at 5 p.m. The Select Board is scheduled to meet on Monday, July 13th and the 27th. If a work session is needed, it will now be included with the regular meeting, which maybe we don't have to say that anymore. It's been like 2 years. All meetings will be held upstairs right here in Town Hall and will be held by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Town offices will be closed on Monday, May 30th, 2022, in observance of Memorial Day. The Plymouth Memorial Day Parade will be held at 10:30 a.m. with lineup beginning at 10 a.m. at the National Guard Armory. So, board members, make sure that's in your
Calendar.
calendars. Don't forget. Okay. No chairman's comments. Appointments. We have an appointment for Doug Grant to be a fully seated library trust member. I didn't see a letter that accompanied this. Is there any context or color?
He was an alternate. He actually came into the town hall to ask to be moved to fully seated because there's an opening.
I was going to say, I assume there's an opening.
I move that we appoint Doug Grant as a full member of the board for Pease Public Library. Trustee, excuse me. I move that we appoint Doug Grant as a trustee of the Pease Public Library.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Give it to Neil.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Whitney Holt recently resigned as library trustee.
Okay, that's the opening that's being filled. Okay. And on to new purchase orders and grants. Joe, you're first up.
We start with Bartlett Road if you want.
Let's start with Bartlett Road.
So that went out to bid. And, I don't know if you guys all have everything in front of you.
Yep.
Okay, so there was four people that bid on that, and Dana was actually the lowest bidder. There was one other that was really close, but for some reason he didn't bid in the paving, so misinterpreted my layout, but after talking with him, he was all set, so. Dana did the work on the last one, and the work itself was good. And so I'm happy with him to finish the job.
So Joe, those exclusions on Dana's bid.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have to do any of the tree clearing, landscaping, lumen seed?
No, so all the ditches, we've already ditched the thing, so all that's good, and there's no tree clearing to do, so, the only other one that would hold true for any of them would be like big, huge boulders, like size of this table or a ledge, which is a normal clause that all of them would have, so.
Okay.
All his exclusions are stuff that was in his last bid, and I had no issues with it.
And he is not the person who did the first half of the road?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he is the person who did, okay.
There's a huge difference, Joe.
Yeah, there is, yeah. GMI asphalt there.
There's no road bond included in Dana White's.
Right.
It's anything over 150,000 is supposed to.
Requires a bond or a note.
I
or
did not.
something from the bank.
Yeah, so if that's the case, I'll have to put it back out to bid, because I didn't do it on the last one. And this is one of my discussions I wanted to have with everybody, at what point you ask for that bond, because
I believe the RSA says 150, but I'd have to double check that.
So that's required by the RSA, that's
We
non-negotiable.
don't have any choice about it.
Okay.
So the only other thing that can happen is I can require it, and he'll have to just adjust his price according, whatever it costs for that bond, he can adjust it to the price.
You can give us a bond, a letter of credit,
Well,
or cash, one of the three.
What's the typical cost of that?
I don't know.
I've never had to bond anything that big. I've always bonded to small stuff, but this is all new to me, so.
So, Joe, if the board brings us back at the next meeting, giving you time to talk to Dana,
Yep.
is that gonna be too late?
Nope,
Okay,
because he's
starting
not
till September, right?
going to do this till September, so.
I was gonna say, if we have to put it back out to bid, they may delay until
Yeah,
spring.
that would be huge, but it wouldn't change the price, no matter who you have do it. It's only gonna be the price of what it costs to put the bond in
Right.
effect.
No one else included a bond either, or?
Nope.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's an error on my part, so I can
Yeah, hopefully we can clear that
talk
up.
to him and we can arrange that, and I can,
Even a bank letter of credit shouldn't they shouldn't cost him anything to get that. If that's something he can do. next meeting?
Yeah, let's hold this for next meeting.
So what is that price? 150, you
I
said?
believe it's 150, but I can double check for sure and let you know that RSA is.
That way I can. Okay.
And then you want to talk next about the
The
backhoe?
loader.
Yep.
The John Deere loader.
Yep.
Okay.
I had 3 bids. I had Case and Cat, and John Deere. And 2 were pretty close to each other, and John Deere was more money. But there's also, the loader is also more loader. That when I did it out, the others, one of them was the specs. He didn't spec it to the size machine that I wanted, so it would have been smaller. So, and the state runs John Deere. And I also had the John Deere people gave me a letter that, just stating, just to help me out, but whether you want to read it or not.
You have the other quotes?
They're not in my packet.
I didn't see them either. I was looking to see if I misplaced.
Do you have all the quotes? Me either.
They were public. I had them. See if I have them here. I can tell you how much they were if you want. I have them.
Packet,
No, I didn't see.
couldn't find them.
You're trading in, Joe, 2 pieces of equipment to get your trade-in value?
Yep. Right, and this is well below the price that the town allotted me at the town meeting.
What was do you remember what the town meeting
Yeah,
estimate
it was
was?
like 179,000.
Yeah. So in general, a pretty good price.
So, once we got the bids in place for the for the trade-ins, so, our old backhoe worked hard, and it definitely was time to go. And then that little case we have, once we get this new backhoe, it's gonna have the forks and all the capabilities of that little machine. And that small loader was a 1999. So, it's at that point where we're gonna start putting money into it, so I got a good price for the trade, so I was better off to trade it and then keep all my money in one basket and not keep more maintenance. So,
We have 1 minute before we
It
have
has a
the
grading
public meeting.
bucket
Public hearing?
with a wrist on it,
Oh, yeah.
410.
the 410, yes.
Yeah.
So the one you're getting has a grading bucket with a wrist on it? I thought I
It's a-
saw that somewhere.
This is a loader, not a grader.
No, it's a backhoe.
Right.
Does the backhoe have a grading bucket with a wrist on it?
It has a wrist on the back, so like a cleanup bucket, yes.
Okay, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah. Well, the old one had one too.
How do we feel about not having the other quotes?
Well, I have them if I have.
Oh, you
I
do
can
have
tell
them.
you what they are if you want.
You want to just give us just the quick numbers, and then we can probably move on this?
So the case was 160,000. The cat was 148,000, and the John Deere was 173,000.
Oh, okay. Those were all pre-trade-in prices. I'm sorry.
Right, those are without
Were
the trade-ins.
all the
Does that
trade-ins
include
equal?
Yeah.
Nope.
Did some people give us better trade-ins, or were they all the same? Thank you. This is what we wanted to see.
Some were better than others.
So total of 33 to John Deere. Milton Cat would have been 28, and the Case would have been 33. So they're all
The
similar.
math turns out the same. Lower.
I mean, all the other ones are lower. The Cat's the cheapest option. All in, it's 119.9, and the Case all in is 126.6.
John Deere did give me some good prices for the trade-in, so.
Yeah, John Deere's prices are the Case and John Deere gave the best trade in. But did you say one of these was under spec? The one they gave you wasn't what you wanted?
Mhm.
That was at the Cat?
What model cat was it?
I don't know if it's on there.
Cat, doesn't say.
811, 814, one of those?
It doesn't say.
So,
But in general, what you're suggesting is the John Deere you think's the best option because
I do. And one of the other reasons is John Deere is close to us, and we have John Deere now, and out of all our vendors, I've had the best luck with them.
Yeah.
And the state uses them, so, they just have a good rapport, and I have good luck with them. And, when it comes time for a trade-in, the value is still there too.
That 410's a really good machine.
thoughts?
So we're going with the highest priced one?
Yeah.
Yes. Effectively, this is a recommendation to go with. I'm sorry, can I have that again? The recommendation from
Yeah,
the
I mean,
high.
I did my homework. I mean,
I'm going to ignore the Cat quote on this because it's not the right machine, right?
Right.
Is that's fair? So we're really comparing a quote all-in price of $139,950 for the John Deere or $126,670 for the Case. So we're $13,000 more.
Neil, do you have any comment? Versus
I like
one
the
of the other?
410. I think it's an excellent machine for what he needs.
Excellent enough that it's worth the extra
13.
8%.
Yeah, I just think he's going to have to live with a machine, and I think he's going to do a lot better with it. I like the John Deere. I think it's a rugged machine. It's well designed, has good ergonomics.
There you go.
I defer to Neil as more of an expert than I.
Right.
Neil, do you want to make a motion?
I've run those machines, huh?
Do you want to make a motion?
I move that we buy the John Deere 410 backhoe loader. And the
At 139.
price with trade-in is $139,950.
Second.
Any discussion? I like that it comes in under what we estimated, so at the end of the day. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. All right, we're running a little bit late, but let's open hold this here. Let's go your way. We're going to open a public hearing. It is 5:21. Nope, 5:19. That clock is off. It's 5:19. We're going to open a public hearing on the Stormwater Asset Management Program. June or Joseph, do one of you want to introduce this item?
Say a couple now, Brian.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon, good evening. This is a follow-up from February of 2020. We brought another item related to this before the board. The town was pre-approved for $30,000 from New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to create a stormwater asset management program. The town has been approved for this $30,000 grant. It's been converted. It's no longer a loan. It would be completely grant funded. There's no match requirement with this. we're asking the board to hold the public hearing to approve acceptance of this grant and to authorize the town manager and finance director to sign contracts and other documents on behalf of the town for this. Generally speaking, the asset management program is going to be designed to ensure the long-term sustainability of the town's stormwater assets. That's our closed drainage systems, and it builds on the closed drainage system assessment we had done. It's going to help determine which assets need to be replaced at which time and for what cost. Helps determine the optimal level of service. The town, after issuing a request for qualifications, selected DPC Engineering to assist the town with this, and they will be the town's consultant if we go forward with this grant, accepting this funding. And they would develop the inventory, they would provide a rating, they would assess the criticality, do a life cycle cost analysis, create an implementation plan, perform some public outreach, and develop a communications plan. And again, this is no match required on this grant, $30,000 from DES. And it does not have, this is separate from the downtown stormwater project. This is the asset management program grant. So are there any questions about this one in particular?
Any questions from the board?
So this grant covers the whole cost?
That's correct.
I was involved in the review of the applicants that the award was given to DPC Engineering, and I think they'll do a good job.
Neil, I know this has been a
I
hot
think this
topic
is
issue for you.
Really important for our town. Really important.
All right, I'll open it up to any public comments related to the acceptance of a $30,000 grant for a stormwater asset management program.
Frank Miller, and I stand in support of accepting this. This goes well with our ecotourism and manufacturing process of trying to enhance our agricultural zone and identifying that water quality, stormwater quality and runoff is something we need to pay attention to. And as a private citizen, there is definite value in this program to Plymouth, and I'd like to see it happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, do we have to vote before we close the hearing?
Close the hearing and then,
Close the hearing. It is 5:24.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant for $30,000 for the stormwater asset management program.
And do we have to
Second.
also?
Oh, and authorize the town manager and finance director to sign all appropriate documentation
Contracts.
contracts.
Second.
Still seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right. We went through that a little bit too quickly.
so the two purchase orders that are left up here for Tom actually go with that public hearing, so you can't approve those.
I can't do one before the other.
No. You have to do the public hearing first to accept the funds so we can spend the money.
Okay. Looking at this list, there's nothing that's going to take 5 minutes.
We
Get
can,
Joe back.
we can do partial committee reports.
What's that?
I can do mine in 5.
I doubt it.
I'm not sure I've ever had a conversation with you that lasted
Exactly.
less than 5 minutes, Steve.
Yeah, maybe we could do Chelsea?
Yeah, he's not online though.
It is.
Oh, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to fit in 5 minutes.
That'll fit in 5 minutes.
So few things fit in 5 minutes.
That should.
That's the downfall of having advertised times. No. I don't think anything. You know what? You know what fits in 5 minutes is Mary Ann's committee report on Plymouth Village Water and Sewer Commission.
Nope. Less than that. We don't have a meeting till tomorrow.
Perfect. Then, no, I disagree. Ted, your Campus Community Council report.
There is still call to have one in the fall. You have an
Fall.
interested party member, or late summer.
Yep. So we're still just waiting on that. I'm going to come back to planning board.
Planning board?
No, I'm going to come back to it because,
It's going to take longer.
yeah, well, it'll take longer, I'm sure. PES, I was unable to attend.
And I made a mistake when I thought it was a different date. It was actually, I actually missed it, so.
Okay, so our committee report on school is good. We'll come back to Conservation Commission. Capital Improvement Advisory Budget Committee, we met and discussed, we met with Andrew and from PBTV, and he brought us a few good items from the TV station that we're going to be needed over the coming years. Fairly small in the scheme of things, which did let us sort of recalibrate kind of some of those conversations about what scale we're operating under. But overall, it was really good. We talked about roads. We got some more data around roads, but we're continuing to make progress.
Was solar mentioned? Or is that,
No,
okay.
no one, unless I'm missing something. June, no one has brought anything related to solar to capital improvement.
Not yet. They have, I've had a few emails, actually just one today I responded to, with the interest in being included in the CIP. So we've put it kind of on the list so we don't lose track of it, but we have nothing yet. We're really working on getting information from departments at this point.
Yeah,
We'll
all
get to
just
that.
existing inventory stuff is really where we're at. All right. LRPC bill?
There's a commissioners meeting this evening.
All
Not
right.
yet, which
Happening.
make it out.
Yeah, you might catch the tail end of it remotely.
And there was a executive committee, and we're talking about the annual meeting.
Did you
coming up.
figure out your free ticket for the annual meeting?
Yeah, they're stupidly free. Maybe
That's
I
not
shouldn't say it too.
stupid.
Well, they gotta make money.
Wow. Look.
Whatever, but yeah, free tickets. Annual meeting.
Free tickets. Parks and Rec Commission, Ted?
Not meeting until later this summer.
See how many of those we checked off the list?
Bunch.
Bunch.
Can you do Parking Committee in under a minute?
No meetings.
Okay, you
There you go. I am on it.
Love it.
All over
Hey,
it.
you might as well do economic development too.
Yeah, you want to get that one too?
Nothing there.
'Cause that one didn't meet.
That is correct.
And I'll hold on the rest. I'm going to pretend that clock is correct. And 5:30, public hearing. We're talking about EMS Ambulance Equipment Grant. And Chief Tom Morrison, want to tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Good afternoon again. This is a so-called Gopher Act grant, Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery. This was authored by Captain Tebow, this grant. And it will purchase a new power load system for the second ambulance, which is the same piece of equipment that we bought last year for the other ambulance. It will replace one of our stair chairs, and we'll also purchase a portable ultrasound machine. So this is a 90% grant paid for by Gopher, and 10% which we have accounted for in the budget, the 10% match. We look for your support to accept that, and
How much is your grant?
$38,176 is the grant amount. we were approved for a total of 50,000, so we've got another application in the works for the remaining, for the balance.
What's that for?
That is for, we've only got one shower at the firehouse, so when it comes to decon of EMS or fire personnel, it's a real problem. So we're actually gonna renovate, that's the proposal, renovate bathrooms and add showers.
Is this replacing existing equipment, or is this new?
That stair
net new?
chair is, the power load system is something that we had put in the CIP, but whereas this is a grant.
Well, we would still put it in the CIP. We would just,
Right.
yeah.
And actually, we're gonna spec these from now on with the ambulance, as opposed to having to, send a brand new ambulance out and have it retrofitted for these
Mhm.
power load systems. We're gonna spec,
To the
here on
original
out, we'll
ambulance
spec
purchase.
the ambulances with that.
Yeah, because you don't want to have an ambulance where you can't get people into it.
Right.
Any other questions for Tom from the board?
So why did Gopher just do 90%? Why wouldn't it be like the full?
I'm not sure
Yeah.
with this one. Yeah, unlike ARPA, that was 100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also it's, I guess, the discretion of the Gopher committee there, but
Yeah, I don't know.
full boat, I guess, but,
It's American Relief Plan.
yeah.
It's federal money. The Gopher decided how to split it up.
Okay, so they put a match on there?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So they put a 10% match on just because that's their discretion, I guess?
Yes, that is yes.
Oh, I have no idea.
It is. I mean, that's how it got approved.
Yeah.
It's 10% match.
Huh.
Which we had budgeted for that stair chair anyway, so that's where that's coming from.
Right?
Yep. We'll actually have money left over in that account. So,
All right. Any questions from the public for this public hearing? I just assume that if Frank doesn't rise in support and he opposes.
stand in support.
All right. All right. Frank sits in support. Any other questions? All right. Well, at 5:33, which apparently we could have done, and oh no, we couldn't start it. But anyway, I close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board. Do you want to discuss these particular purchase orders with us?
sure.
And we've got to vote on like three things here, so I figure
Wanna
we
do
should
it
talk
all at
about
once?
them all. I mean, probably multiple votes, but it makes sense
Yeah.
to discuss them all together.
So, as I said, we have the power load system on this purchase order. You want to do both purchase orders? They're all in the same grant.
Did the only question I'm going to have about the purchase order is, we're over the price for competitive bid? Right, at 37,000. Was this the only bid you got, was from Stryker?
Yeah, so that's the way the grant was written. That specific equipment was approved by the grant administrator, so
Okay,
that's what we have to purchase.
gotcha. So it's
Also happens to be-
specific in the grant write-up, so we can't get, in theory, that homework was done before writing the grant.
That's right,
Okay,
yeah. It's also the equipment that we prefer. Stryker is what's in the other ambulance, so they would be compatible if we needed to swap them out, et
Okay.
cetera. So there's that, the power load system. The stair chair is also a Stryker product that was specified in the grant. And the ultrasound, the portable ultrasound machine, that will allow us to transmit ultrasound images to the hospital. For instance, with an internal bleed, the ultrasound would identify that. The hospital could then, A, call in more resources, or B, tell us that they can't take that patient and to call a helicopter. So it's,
do you need, like, some specialized training on that, or are your
We will.
EMTs already certified?
no, we'll need specialized training on that, which I think will come from the hospital. They're gonna have to write a protocol for this.
Yep.
So it's gonna be great for patient care. And it's 90% funded, so.
I'll say that I spent roughly this much money personally to transport my son to Dartmouth in the middle of the night because there was no ultrasound scanner in town. So
Interesting.
I strongly stand in support of it. Grant first, if anybody's up for making motions.
I'll make a motion that we accept the EMS ambulance grant for $38,176.
I'll second.
Do we need any signature authority?
You should give that to Kathy or myself or both.
We should add that as well.
Okay, and to give signature authority to Kathy and Ann, and/or Ann.
I'll still second.
Any discussion?
What was the amount of
38,176.
38,176.
Yeah, it's right here.
And that's a 90% match.
It's right in the-
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Awesome. All right. On to the next motion.
Make a motion to accept the purchase order for $37,532.22 for Stryker Medical MTS power loader and accessories.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And one more.
And one more. I'll make one more motion for the Clarius Mobile Health Corp ultrasound scanner for the sum of $4,885.20.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I said aye as well. Just pretend.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Great work getting grants for all that stuff.
Yes.
Pass that thanks along to Officer Tebow as well.
Paddling in the Grand Canyon right now, or he wouldn't
Hopefully by choice. I think that's all the purchase orders, all the public hearings, and we are on to new and other business. Let's start off with June. And Joseph on New Hampshire DES Covert Flood Risk Assistance Grant funding opportunity.
Hi again. This is another New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services grant. This is a new one-time opportunity that's been developed by DES. It's called the Culvert Flood Risk Assistance Grant Program. It is a statewide, open to municipalities across the state. It's going to distribute approximately $1 million in funding with no match requirement up to $400,000 for culvert replacement projects. This will be awarded, they expect, to either 2 or 3 municipalities. So we do expect it to be quite competitive. But we are asking the Select Board to authorize Kathy and June to submit the grant and for Kathy and Ann to sign documents so that we may submit this grant application to DES. Where many of you, I'm sure, are quite familiar with the Loon Lake Road culvert. There have been attempts in the past to secure funding to replace this culvert. It's a 6-foot corrugated metal culvert that is inadequate. It's aged. And, it's considered a top priority. It's listed in the town's 2018 master plan and the hazard mitigation plan. There's been numerous times in the past 10, 11 years that, overtopping has left the road impassable, and it is a one-way in, one-way out situation there on Loon Lake Road. The categories that they're using to score these applications are going to be public safety, aquatic organism passage, economic benefit, and water quality, with public safety and fish passage being sort of the top 2. And we believe there's a strong public safety case to be made for this culvert, as well as fish passage, because it does limit the ability of the trout in that brook to pass from one side of the culvert to the other, due to the fact that it's inadequate, it's too small, and it's failing. It's also inadequate to meet the 100-year hydraulic flow demands. So we generally believe that this is a good thing, and we would ask for the board's support to apply for this funding.
Any questions for Joseph?
No? I'm in support.
Joseph, when is the grant due?
It's due July 1st.
And when would it be good through? If we were to get the grant, when would the work have to be done by, I guess?
That is a good question. I believe they are still finalizing that with some of this. They've only recently announced even the application within the past couple of weeks. If I can grab my...
So potentially a couple years, though?
That would be...
Do you want me to speak up on this? Just 'cause Joseph and I sat through a webinar, so I'm looking at the notes from when we learned about this program. So I think it's, they did say construction potentially could start in 2023 if we were ready with engineering work and that kind of thing. But I'm trying to find the date when we have, it's ARPA funds that the state has sort of recycled through this program and created some opportunities that address some water quality issues and public safety through the flooding bit. So I think that the funding has until 2025 or 6 to actually spend it if we get it. But so it seemed like there's enough time to do it. Just the applications are due. They're trying to get it obligated, I think, in 2023 or early 24. If I understood it right. So
my only concern with applying for the grant is we've had minor issues recently with administering grants because of staffing.
Yeah.
So it's great to have all these grants available, and it's great to get all this money. Just sometimes we don't have enough people in-house to help us get everything that we need, and it's a wonderful idea. And Loon Lake Road really needs it. But we have a huge project going on South Main Street right now. We have Highland Street going on.
Yeah, I mean, the Highland Street is just this year, though, right?
Right, that's why my concern was
Right, yeah,
how quickly
absolutely.
this money has to be
Right.
spent.
Right.
You know, I don't want to accept something if somebody else is out there and they have the time, they have the means to spend it, get the work done. So I just want the board to consider that as well when they're taking on all the grants, especially the road projects. That's a lot of work to actually administer those grants. And I don't know if June is willing to, administer that grant if we were to get it, or Joseph, or how that would be done. I don't mean to talk against it because
Nope,
I think the grants
thanks.
are great. But
I was having the same thoughts while they were presenting. Absolutely, you're not.
The time, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of energy, a lot of work.
So I think that's a good question back to Joseph and June is what is your confidence level in being able to administer this in the time period?
We talked about it a little bit. I guess I think the board should consider, certainly it's a good idea to consider that capacity of staffing. We identified, from seeing this opportunity in a webinar, we identified the Loon Lake Culvert as a good fit from the criteria of the grant, and it was our understanding that the town has applied several times before, I think through FEMA, and has not been successful for different factors because of how they score the applications, and we were basically on a kind of a cost-benefit ratio, and the project was structured a little bit differently with some additional work on Fairgrounds Road, which would not be included on this. And so we have information available for both the narrative for the project. We have some engineering estimates already done by Mike Vignali. He did a fair amount of work, I guess, on a FEMA grant. So I've talked to him. He can update those numbers pretty quickly. So we felt like it was a fairly, grant applications always take some time, but we had a lot of materials to work with. We know it's going to be very competitive, but we thought because it's 100% funded through the grant with no match, that I'm not, Joe, if he's there, still can maybe speak to the condition of the Loon Lake Culvert. Loon Lake Road culvert. And it's our understanding, based on it being a priority in the hazard mitigation plan and the master plan, that this was kind of a crucial need for the town. So, there's no guarantee we'll get the money, and if we do, we don't have to accept it. We'd have to have another public hearing, of course. And so you could kind of cross that bridge or cross the culvert or something later to figure out capacity, perhaps, and that would also give us some time to kind of think through some alternatives for administering the grant if we should be successful in getting it.
I think that's a good answer. At least it increases my confidence both in we have another, bail point if we're really concerned, but more importantly, the priority seems right on the project, and if we can get the federal government to pay for it, that's better.
I mean, to be honest, it seems like, you have to balance these types of priorities, and again, our capital improvement plan, the stormwater asset management, all these other things we're trying to work on will help. But this is an opportunity because of ARPA funding that's in front of us now. And, if something happens to that culvert and we have another big rain event or storm event and causes further deterioration and more flooding, then you have nothing to repair. Could be in a crisis, because I don't think you have anything in the town budget right now for repairing it. So that was our thought. It was worth trying to get it and then see where we're at. So.
Sounds fair.
I also understand there's $1 million limit on all the grants that are being applied for, and $400,000 per award is a max. And in fact, I think June, I did mention, in fact, if Joe is still here, the Hunt Road culvert, which has not been engineered nor has been kind of advanced since we kind of worked it out with Bridgewater. So, I would think that this might be a slam dunk for the use of these monies for this project. So, and let the Hunt Road one, I guess, languish for another opportunity.
Again, we looked at the scoring criteria, which DES has done a nice job of kind of putting together a package of information about the application. And as Joseph just mentioned, the two highest categories are sort of public safety aspects of, given the number of people that are kind of cut off if Loon Lake Road culvert there floods, is significant and more significant than the Hunt Road, so we score higher there. And then also a wildlife component of fisheries and the passage of fisheries through there. So we have found some data that there is some blockage of fish passage through that culvert currently, so that will also help our scoring, we believe. Whereas we don't have that information for the Hunt Road I'm aware of. So.
Actually, the Hunt Road one is valuable regarding fish passage because that's a trout stream, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Different day, different culvert.
Yep.
So could potentially Bridgewater apply for this?
Yeah. But they would probably have the same issue as far as ownership. Whereas if it's Trout Unlimited or some other funding source, they don't care about probably who owns it. They just want to make sure that trout have adequately access to upstream and downstream. But that's we can approach that later.
You want a motion?
Oh, is there any?
We're in discussion.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other discussion?
Want a motion?
We have a motion, I think, right? Do we move? Nobody moved?
Nobody moved.
Then we do need a motion.
I move that we authorize our town planner to apply for this NHDES Culvert Flood Risk Assistance Grant.
Second.
And allow.
Can we amend that to allow signing authority on the
And
grant
allow
applications
signing authority,
for Kathy
right, Kathy and
and probably as well, yeah.
Still seconded.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Go forth.
All right.
Just don't go
Thank you.
far.
All right. Yeah, don't go far because we're talking downtown drainage project. And that's to you, June, with an update on the project timeline.
Yeah, thanks. I sent you a fairly lengthy memo to kind of give you hopefully you've had a chance to read it. with an update of sort of the project status. There's a list of items in that memo that outlines our efforts to respond to the Economic Development Administration, EDA's review of plans and specifications and the project manual, and then a lot of the administrative and sort of legal documentation that we've had to submit. So we got everything in finally on the 13th of May, and Friday the 13th, and then last week started getting some approvals, conditional approvals, which some things that can't come until we know who the contractor would be. So we're making some progress on that. The last couple pieces I think are really 2 legal documents, a site certificate and evidence of good title that the Regional Council for EDA is reviewing. And the other piece is on the plans and project manual prepared by HEB Engineering. They did have lengthy comments about it, and many of them are not extensive or difficult to, they're not big things. In one case it was changing 501 to 502 or something, a little typo in a couple cases. EDA really went through this stuff. It was pretty amazing. And the biggest issue really within their comments repeatedly, because there's the way it's structured, is about our timeline. We had to submit a package to them for review, and it had bid dates that were back in May, bid opening in I think next week or something, and that we knew that those were wrong when we sent it in, that we were behind. I had talked to our administrative person at the EDA down in Philadelphia, and he said, that's fine, send it in, but he formally has to say, okay, now you need to update all this with a new timeline. And with that, in order to do that, we have to request a time extension for our grant. He's guided me about what they need. There's 4 parts to include with it, but I did, as part of writing in that letter, I wanted to have from the board sort of documentation that you understand that there is still need for this project, and a statement saying that nothing's changed really in the conditions. The town views that this is still a bona fide need for the project, and that you're willing to basically set a timeline that we can work out between authorizing town manager, myself, and highway manager, and all the other players, and HEB in particular, our engineering firm, to work out a better time frame that will address the seasonality of construction and bidding and all of that. We're just really trying to figure out, we don't know yet 100% what the best time to bid would be. HEB is recommending waiting till maybe late November, December, or even early January, because that's more of a normal bidding time. Contractors are very busy right now. There's a lot of issues, of course, in the tremendous amount of uncertainty apparently in the construction world, with supply issues, fuel costs, and to try to bid it in as soon as we can, like in August or September, would probably not be very favorable. We might not even get enough bidders to meet EDA's guidelines. I think we have to have 3, or they want to see that. Without having 3 bidders or more, we would have to explain why and go through another sort of set of administrative hassles. So HEB was recommending holding off, which again, I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but what I was looking for from the board tonight was really to more formally decide that, because I didn't have that sense that it was sort of a consensus, but I'd like to have a more formal kind of statement that you're willing to let us work it out, and that you recognize that there is definitely still the need for the project.
Yes. Is there any disagreement to there being a need for this project?
No, we're fine.
You've got 100% consensus on the need. The timeline, what you've written in this letter seems like a strong recommendation, but I'm happy to give you all the space to figure it out and make sure that we put together a proposal that's going to get us our extension from EDA. And any objections to that?
Not at all.
Do you need a formal vote from us, or is the 100% consensus that we've got sitting here enough?
I think as long as we have something in the minutes saying that, that's been discussed and that the select board recognizes that there's, and has the consensus that there's still the need and you're willing to let us work out a timeline, that would be adequate. I just wanted something that we can point to in the minutes, that says that you are aware of all this and let us go ahead. I mean, even since I wrote the memo, I've talked to Don Jutton and he's reached out to the Association of General Contractors and another colleague to try to get any other sort of advice about when to bid. And there's just a lot of uncertainty. So we'll do the best we can on coming up a timeline that works for them, works for the town and HEB and follows that guidance that they're giving us too. I suspect it would be more, late fall, early winter we'd be looking at.
In the meantime, one of the other outcomes I thought from our public hearing was trying to identify a contact in the downtown business to kind of be a communication point of contact. Has any of that progress happened? Have we found someone?
As far as I know, I don't know if Don was going to reach out or it was going to be up to the business community.
Put someone forward?
Right.
Yeah. Has any emails gone out or anything of that sort?
No, I'd be happy to do it though.
Yeah, I think we should get an email out along those lines. I mean, I don't know if the rest of the board agrees, but I think we should get an email out along those lines so that, I think this is a big decision that we're talking about moving this, and we have limited business members in the audience, so to make sure that we have that
3
contact
people?
and we're getting that.
You think 3 people?
I don't know.
Or as many as?
I don't know.
I think we'll be lucky to get 3, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I mean, maybe it's one person. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
So-
that wasn't related to your topic, but is just an important communication item that came out of the discussion of this topic.
Yep, I just would add that Don from Water and Sewer, Don Jutton from Plymouth Village Water and Sewer did send an email mid-afternoon to Kathy and myself. I think Kathy was going to take the lead on this, but he had drafted sort of an update about it and wanted the town's approval, so we can work on that. And I think the idea was that the district has an email list. I'm trying to read the email while on the meeting here too, so they could go out via that channel, and then if Marianne or there's somebody else could share it too. If the idea was to get it out there and see what let people pass it on too as needed.
Okay, so Kathy, is your intention to write something, and okay,
Right.
and so you'll write something, and then you can help amplify it
Right.
in the community.
I just want to make sure that everyone that attended the last meeting is included in that, because apparently.
They are.
Okay.
That's how they knew about the meeting, is they were on the list.
They were on the list, or they all saw it on Facebook.
I think they all got the email. I mean, we could do both.
Okay, probably makes sense to
Yeah, sure.
do both. I don't want us to be in a situation where they feel left
Right.
out of
Right.
some of that, but cool. So yeah, project's important. We want to see it get done. Please find some new dates to make it workable.
Open to an editorial.
Sure. But you have to approach the mic.
Hi, I'm Steve Rand. At one time we had a Main Street program, and it died. And one of the reasons it died was because the town decided that they didn't want to support it, which is, I think, kind of in retrospect, not a wonderful idea. But but just for thinking purposes, it would be great to have a new Main Street program, and but it has to be a public-private partnership. Otherwise, nobody can do anything. It's exactly what we're talking about here, and to have an organization that can represent the business interests is very important. But personally, it's disappointing to know that the town didn't feel it was worth $5,000 a year to support that organization back in when it died, and it seemed like a small amount. And so, if the subject comes up, I just want you to know that, and to blend that into your thinking if the subject should come up, because I think it should, hopefully. But I'm the wrong generation to bring it up. So my hair is too gray, And, and we need young people like Mary Ann to lead that charge.
Nice. The young people. I like that. I felt set up, though. I guess.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting right there.
So, but Steve, you were referring to the chamber, the $5,000. Well, the $5,000 is what the chamber asked for us to, join them.
Well, that's a separate organization. There are two.
Well, I think initially we were hoping that the chamber would also be involved, but the chamber became the central New Hampshire, thing that was kind of like out of our town.
Right, I understand, but the Main Street program was never out of the town. It
Nope.
was always
Right.
very, very focused on that, from the armory to the,
Was that a membership that we paid $5,000 for back in the day, or?
so, okay, so the way the thing was originally set up was that there was a New Hampshire Main Street program, and we wanted to be accepted into it, so we made these applications for their cooperative support, not dollars really. And one of their requirements was that there would be evidence of support. So we went around and asked every property owner on Main Street to support this program, and many of them did, not everybody. And part of that was that the town was asked to support it. And so everybody signed like a 3-year contract because a 1 year wasn't enough. And at the end of the 3 years, the town said, no, I guess we're not going to pay for it anymore, which caused the finances of the organization, because it required an actual full-time director, to be impossible. It was kind of waning anyway, but I think the town's action didn't help. So the Main Street program went out of business, and that's directed right at the 4 points of the Main Street program, which is economic restructuring, design, events, and beautification. So those are all the 4 pieces. Main Street program still exists in the United States of America, but the state of New Hampshire there is none in the state of New Hampshire.
Do you know time-wise, like roughly when that all happened?
Roughly the late 80s to middle 90s. And you'll see a little evidence of it around here, like for instance those little brown historic trail markers were done by that group. The now very tired Welcome to Plymouth signs were done by that group. The trash can, we had a big trash can issue, guess. Events were done by that group, the Main Street, they did the hometown holiday parade, and they did other events, and we had musicians in the park, and we had other events that we sponsored and ran.
And those weren't being run by Parks and Recreation at the time, because many of the things you listed.
Well, the band concerts were always Park and Rec, but these were additional events. We had lunchtime concerts in the park, which were.
Yeah. All right. So we've strayed off topic a bit, but I think that's good to hear. If there's somebody,
I want you to be aware. That's all.
Yeah. If there's somebody from Main Street who wants to pick back up that torch, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if
further discussion
if
in
the
future.
people of the town are interested, then they should see somebody. But that is the problem, really.
Yeah.
Always the problem is finding the leadership for that sort of thing to happen. And
Well, maybe that can blossom out of this stormwater project.
well, it's a very good, necessary kind of relationship between need and possible organization. So
Yeah.
yes, maybe. Right. So we have two of the prime movers and shakers in town right here. So
All right.
Jamie, yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for June about this timeline or comments about the timeline, or are we good to move on?
I'm good.
We're good.
Okay. Jesse Jennings. We received a letter this week from you in regards to furniture and bedding from local furniture and thrift stores. Do you want to give us some more background on this? Or I can read your letter too, whatever you prefer.
That's fine. You can read the letter.
All right, I'll read your letter. It's come to my attention. This is from Jesse Jennings, Plymouth Recycling Center manager, to the town of Plymouth Selectboard. Subject, which I just stated. It's come to my attention that the local furniture companies and thrift stores are bringing mattresses to the Plymouth Recycling Center from other towns. The cost for such items can range from $39 to $44. Our current permit only allows Plymouth Recycling Center to accept waste generated within the town of Plymouth. My solution to the following issue is the Select Board send a letter to all local furniture companies and thrift stores, informing them that they provide documentation of the waste brought to the Plymouth Recycling Center, proving such items generated within the town. So, any other context for that, or is that the...
So financially, it costs the town anywhere between $390 and $450 per week, which could equal up to $23,400 per year. The revenues that we generate from that comes out to be about $7,800 per year. So we're potentially losing up to $15,600 every year.
Why are our current fees for disposal, ignoring the out of town component of this, but our current fees for taking those items in is less than our costs of disposing of them?
Yes.
Do our fees need to be reviewed, or is that intentional?
So it is intentional. If we raise our fees too high, they're going to be on the sides of the roads in our back roads, and it would cost us more money to pick those mattresses up. So that's man hours right there, fuel to pick those mattresses up, and then the actual cost of the disposals of those items.
How do we know where that break point is in terms of the fee versus the anarchy that you've suggested?
So I've steadily have increased the mattresses, and then we started seeing mattresses on the sides of the road shortly thereafter. So I did an increase 2 years ago, and there were reports of mattresses on Cummings Hill Road. We would have to go get those mattresses and bring them back to the transfer station to dispose of them properly.
So Jesse, what is the actual cost of disposing of a mattress?
So it's between $39 to $44.
And what's our fee?
Yeah, what is our fee then?
So it is $30 per mattress, and then it is to remove that, to haul that container is $263. I'll just make it even. It's $264.
So how many oh, okay, you're going to answer that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So approximately we could fit probably about anywhere between 23 to 30. It just depends on the size of the mattresses, and there is differentiating cost of mattresses with Casella. So if it's a twin, it's a 30. If it's California King, it's 30.
And I had another question. You clearly state here that can only, the recycling center can only accept waste generated in the town of Plymouth, and that's based on our permit, right?
Correct.
And I've heard this come up before. So is there a way we can change our permit to allow us to take? And is there a cost incurred to do so?
So, yes, I'm currently working on that. It's a permit modification. It's a 1B permit modification with DES. And it only would cost us $100. It could take up to 4 months for that permit to be approved through DES. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
But if we're losing money, why would
Well,
we do that?
No, I'm not saying that we should necessarily, but I wanted to understand what the cost of changing the permit was.
Sure.
So one of the questions I have is if our fear of increasing the disposal fee is that mattresses are going to end up in the woods. Do we think that won't happen if we're asking everybody to show up and provide documentation of waste brought to the recycling center?
I'm not asking for everybody. I'm just asking for companies and stores to do so.
Commercial.
And so how do you know that what you're dealing with is commercial? They're showing up in like
They come in commercial vehicles. They come with their store vehicles.
Okay. So they come with their store vehicles and they've been telling you that they're taking these items from outside of town?
Yes.
Well, why don't you tell them to take them away?
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
So, if they're coming from out of, I'm assuming that they're going out or somebody's bringing them into these stores. And because they're out of town, they should be disposed of out of town. How are they going to deal with this situation? Or should we find a way where we can charge them full price of the costs?
Well, that would be the thing. We can. Our number one generators of mattresses is not the townspeople. It is actually the companies and thrift stores. So I would suggest, which I did not put in the letter, but I suggest that companies and stores would have to pay,
And by companies and stores, you're talking about the local furniture stores?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're suggesting they pay the full cost? Is that what you were saying, Jess?
Absolutely.
I mean, can we set a different fee for commercial disposal versus personal disposal?
I mean, we could. I just don't want to get into the realm of being a commercial.
Well, sure, but I'm suggesting that if we're doing a commercial disposal of a mattress and we put the price up to $75, hopefully the local furnitures and thrift stores will either stop taking those items or get their own dumpster.
Yeah, absolutely. You can absolutely do that.
Sounds like a reasonable approach to me.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm opposed to asking commercial facilities to provide documentation. I just wouldn't want this to be everybody who shows up with a mattress. It's like, hey, please provide me documentation on where this came from. It just feels like that would be real awkward.
Obviously, that wouldn't affect the residents of the town. The residents of the town. So that in itself is proof. But it's when we have commercial businesses bringing in materials that we don't know where it's coming from, to which the cost is incurred onto the taxpayer.
Just one
It sounds like there's been a little public deliberation of interest.
A little public deliberation, so my holiness neighbor here, and I just compared notes, and
I can't hear that person.
Okay, can you come
Stevie,
to the...
yeah, if you'd approach again, sorry.
So just a little anecdotal. We're noticing that if you were a Holderness furniture store and you wanted to bring your mattresses to Plymouth, you wouldn't let them in. and that, I assume. And then if you were, a Plymouth furniture store and they tried to bring that to Holderness, they wouldn't let them in either. So we're kind of in a gray, we're in a problem area here. Because
My suggestion would be that furniture store, if they're regularly disposing of mattresses or bulk furniture, that they rent their own dumpster to do that disposal service. I mean, we know that all the landlords in town, they do an annual disposal of mattresses that's independent of the dump. They manage that. They deal with all of that. They truck all that away. Because they know that they're going to deal with that bulk item every year.
So are you recommending that you let the furniture stores know that they're not allowed to bring mattresses to the recycling center any longer as of a specific date?
I mean, personally, my suggestion would be to crank up that disposal fee for commercial purposes such that it more than covers our cost. To encourage them to either be willing to pay that and us not carry the cost, or
To do their own
find
thing.
their own alternative solution.
Well, you're also forgetting that if somebody's bringing a mattress from out of town, that violates our permit.
But if your permanent modification is $100, that's a particular item I'm sort of a little bit more willing to figure out.
Right, I absolutely agree with you. It's just when we can do this.
Sure, and sort of the 4 months.
The interim period.
I totally agree, Jesse. I think in the interim, you telling people not to dispose of mattresses that come from, outside of town because we can't legally do so, I think that's perfectly fair.
Okay, and so all I'm asking is that the select board support me by providing a letter to local businesses.
Asking the local businesses to provide documentation.
Or
Not to let them at all.
Or just tell them that they can't bring any out-of-town mattresses to the recycling center.
Okay. Well, how many businesses are we talking about in furniture and thrift stores?
3.
Harris, Plymouth Furniture.
Harris, Plymouth Furniture.
you count all the thrift stores.
Restore. What's that?
You count all the thrift stores. Yeah, so about 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
And then you also have the storage units that sometimes clean out their units.
So if there's a storage unit within the town, that's okay.
If
So just
in
move it
terms
in.
of, I'm just trying to think, actually, in terms of our permit, if Plymouth Furniture comes into possession of a mattress, don't they own that mattress and now they're disposing of their own mattress and they
thinking,
are a
yeah.
business
Yeah.
in Plymouth and thus legally can do so?
No, not when it gets picked up as a residence outside the town.
How many, oh,
It feels like
So
a weird
so-
loophole.
yeah,
so
how many be honest about
What
that
they
too?
need to do is go to that town's transfer station and get rid of that mattress.
If I bought a mattress in Concord and immediately took it to the recycling center, you're telling me our permit wouldn't allow me to do that?
Technically, no.
So I have to sleep on it first? Like, what's the thing that makes it a resident mattress?
Once it gets to your house,
Okay, so I could buy a mattress in Concord, I could bring it to my
Right.
house,
right?
and then take it to the dump. So if somebody buys a bed from Plymouth Furniture and they bring their mattress to Plymouth Furniture and load it in the truck in the parking lot, and then Plymouth Furniture brings it to the dump, it's fine. But if they pick it up out of town and bring it straight to the dump, that's the problem.
Right.
Okay, some interesting nuance. I would say draft a letter and we'll support it, assuming it sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Sounds very hard to
The select board is going to draft a letter?
We're just asking him not to bring.
Yeah, I would, draft a letter. I don't think any of us are opposed to signing such a thing. I know you're working on the permit modification. I would also, if we can get that, encourage us to put a fee in place. And honestly, we could put that fee in place regardless of the permit modification to start, discouraging that behavior.
Right, absolutely. If that's what the select board agrees upon, that I increase that rate for commercial businesses, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you still, with the permit the way it is, you'd still have to tell those businesses to take it away if it didn't come from here, but.
Right.
It's going to be weird. Because you have a company that's going to be like taking us like a $80 hit, whatever, when it's really free pickup and delivery. They go and then pick up your old mattress, and it could be, and then they try to like get rid of it, and then they find out they got to pay like $80 or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they're going to have to tack on the fee initially and say,
Yeah, and pass that along to new mattress purchasers.
Yeah.
I can tell you that
It was
Harris
universally
Family Furniture
applied
does
in
not
New Hampshire,
have
but it's
pickup
not.
and further.
What's that?
Harris Family Furniture does not do free pickup.
Like, so some other store, that, maybe not.
They bundle it in the price.
But either way, it goes
You get it
back
one
on
way.
I didn't catch that.
So who do you want to draft the letter?
Jesse?
Jesse.
Jesse?
It's his
All right.
letter.
Yeah, it's his letter. I think we'll sign it. But
Run it by.
personally, I would strongly encourage a commercial fee for bulk disposal. It seems insane.
It's going to be both.
Yeah.
It has to be both.
Yeah.
There's going to be a commercial
We're in
fee,
agreement.
We're in agreement. Yep.
and the businesses are no longer allowed to bring outside waste to the facility.
Which they're not allowed to now. We're writing a
Telling
letter
them.
telling them to cut it out.
Right. So the verbiage of documentation, you don't want it in there?
I'm only concerned about your ability to check said documentation, but I'm open to it.
Well, what's the question?
I'm just worried about your guys administering that, and how that's going to go.
Well, if they don't provide documentation, they don't dispose of their material.
So what constitutes documentation? I guess that's what we're really getting at.
It would be a bill of sale, saying that this person who lives in the town of Plymouth bought a mattress, here's their old mattress, good to go.
Okay.
That just seems complicated.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's really enforceable.
Yeah, I worry about your ability to enforce it as well.
You don't have a huge staff, and are they going to be able to come up and start checking all this documentation?
So how about if he starts without documentation? If it becomes an issue, he asks the board to sign another letter for documentation.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with a letter that says, stop bringing this stuff to us.
Okay.
I think, honestly, stop bringing this stuff to us coupled with an increased commercial fee, that probably stops your problem in the tracks.
Yeah.
Mr. Rand, did you have another comment? We'll
give it away.
So how about a voluntary compliance system? Ask the commercial vendors to bring to identify which, to voluntarily comply and bring extra money for all the ones that came from out of town, and put the onus on them to be compliant. Try it for a while and see what happens. So find an extra number, an extra $50 for any mattress that comes from their out of town, recognizing that it's part of the service that causes them to be a viable company, company in the town of Plymouth. and yet the town residents are not being burdened with the extra cost of these out-of-town mattresses.
That actually brought an old solution that we had at the transfer station before my time. Commercial haulers were to give a $500 bond to the town, saying that they would abide by our rules and not bring out-of-town waste to the transfer station, if that's something that you want to pursue.
I have a question. Do you have a problem with carpeting, Jesse?
No.
No? So you don't get a lot of out-of-town carpeting? Or
No.
There's not, okay.
No, not really.
Happens if you wrap a mattress in it.
I don't know. Maybe the carpet guys have their own dumpsters.
I think the modification of the permit is probably one of the easiest things we can do to deal with this long term.
Yeah.
At least it gives us the
Absolutely.
flexibility to accept trash from out of town, and it gives us a vehicle to deal with Upper Beach Hill Road.
Right. Because you could sell those people dump permits, though they would have to be costly.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else on this topic?
Nope.
Thank you, Jesse.
There's no vote?
Not until you write the
Move that you
letter.
write a letter.
Yeah,
Right.
there was consensus on a letter creation, so.
All right. Well, you all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. Mary Ann Peabody, Welfare Director, with some updated welfare guidelines.
I don't think the board has met Mary Ann yet, maybe.
We have not.
Hello, Mary Ann. I know Bill. I spoke to him a couple of times, and Neil and I go Neil and I go back
A little bit.
quite a while. Did you have a chance to look at the new amendments?
Yes.
First of all, I want to say that Missy is the one that actually worked on that, and she didn't get to complete it upon her retirement. So all I did was kind of like freshen it up. But those proposed changes they actually come from the Municipal Association, and a majority of them are basically new definitions and just upgrading some of the wording in the sentences. There isn't really anything there that's different from what you already have.
Yeah, it looked like there was a lot more like citations of RSAs and
Right.
sort of supporting
So
the
it's a little
documentation.
bit more understandable.
Is this welfare guideline document primarily for you to guide the people who are requesting welfare? Things like the RSA citations, I think, make it
Yeah.
legally more clear, but I think from a human standpoint, maybe less clear.
Well, for the human standpoint, it makes things clear. It also is a protection for the towns, for the municipalities. And a majority of towns basically have the same guidelines. Most towns not, their guidelines is just as old as Plymouth's is at this point, 10 years. There aren't too many municipalities yet that have come up to, these changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to have guidelines.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't questioning that. I was just thinking of myself as, putting myself in someone's head. They're trying to figure out how to get, service from your office, and now they've got to go read an RSA, which are
Yeah,
not always the
no,
easiest
they
things to
don't
read.
normally do that.
They have
It
an
doesn't work that way.
application process
Yeah.
Okay.
that the applicant would apply for, and these, and this gives Mary Ann or the next welfare director the ability to say, I need this, this, and this before you can actually present it with your application. If she doesn't have that, then she has nothing to really fall back on to say, I don't have enough to make a decision.
Right.
So this is more
The guy, yeah.
the town's process of how we do it.
Yeah.
The application's a little bit different.
Yeah, for example, if it's something that municipalities don't allow, I could refer, municipal directors can refer back to the guidelines. Well, according to the guidelines, we don't do this, or.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. So the person seeking some welfare assistance is their entry point is an application of some
Oh,
sort.
sure.
It's not.
Yes.
They're not handed
no,
this
no.
guide and
No.
said, "Okay, figure it out."
No,
And you know,
no.
we've got some things.
No.
Okay.
But it
Yeah.
does allow when you have people like, and sometimes they pull attorneys in, legal aid.
Right.
Is one of them.
Okay.
You can always say, somebody said, well, you didn't offer this person a security deposit, or you didn't, pay for their lights for a month.
Right.
It could be more information, and she can always fall back on these guidelines.
Right.
It isn't allowed.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
maybe we should have done more.
Especially if legal assistance calls,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes. Any other questions or comments about these updated guidelines?
Good job. Yep. And Missy too.
Yes. Yes, he did a good job.
So
You to vote for the amended docs? Approve?
what will
So-
happen after you vote, we'll just have Mary Ann go back, get a clean copy, and put it in the folder downstairs for you to sign, so that she doesn't
Okay.
have to come back for another meeting. Is that okay?
I think that's fantastic.
Oh, that'd
That
be
work?
great, yes.
We'll take a motion.
Thank
then.
you.
And thank you for sitting through all our shenanigans
No, no
this evening.
problem. Interesting.
Motion, someone?
So I move that we accept and approve the Town of Plymouth Welfare Guidelines, the amended. To clarify, I vote that we accept and approve the amended Town of Plymouth Welfare Guidelines.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? New guidelines are in place.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Yes, thank you.
And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Steve stepped out, and so that brings us to Representative Sally Fellows.
Find out that she
Was
gave
that on
you-
purpose, by the way?
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Good evening. Is this on?
It is, yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted to tell you about 4 bills that I think you might be interested in. The first one, I passed around this little handout. This is a bill that I sponsored last year, and it became effective this year. And it has to do with the state property tax rebate. On your property tax bill, there's a line that says state property tax, or it could say state education tax. The rebate program has been around for a long time, but it kind of fell into not very high usage because it hadn't been updated. Until this year, if you were a single person, your income had to be below $12,000 a year to get a rebate. But as you can see, the new limits are here, and statewide, about 1 in 6 people qualify for this program. So right now, the challenge is getting homeowners to know about the program so they can apply for it. It has a very short window for application. You have to send your application in no later than May 1st and no earlier than May 1st and no later than June 30th. So I'm kind of on my own campaign here. I took these little things down to the senior center and they passed them out. I brought posters over here. It doesn't seem to be getting any news coverage. I'm working on that, but I haven't gotten anybody to actually publish anything yet. And I think what I'm going to do, now that I've actually got the statute updated, I think I'm going to try working with the municipal association with maybe some kind of guidance. I think the problem is that people know about their local options for tax rebates, tax credit kind of things. And for the local ones, if you apply for it once, like the veterans exemption, you apply once and then you don't have to reapply every year. This you have to reapply every year. So I'm trying to, I think I'm going to try to come up with some method to get this to go out with people's spring tax bill. Because I know that Plymouth sent, my mother got one, I know Plymouth sent the tax bills out already. Holderness didn't send theirs out yet for halfway through the year. But I don't know if they can, I'll work with the municipal association, see if they recommend having towns print something on the back of it about you know, like you may qualify, or put flyers in. I don't know what the solution is, but it's really a shame. 1 in 6 people qualify for this program, and you know, seniors they just have a terrible time after they retire paying their property tax bill. So I mean, $350 is certainly, you know, something worth going after. So that's bill number 1.
And that's a rebate that comes from the state as opposed to a
Yes.
deduction that
Yeah,
comes
what
from the
you
town.
do, you fill out a form. I thought it was easy to fill out the form, you know, but I do my own tax returns too. You know, you need a copy of your tax bill that you're gonna have to send them a copy of your tax bill, copy of your 1040, and then the only other thing you have to do is you have to put in what your income is. It's just one line off your 1040. You have to put in what your property value is assessed for, and then you have to use these little tables. You have to do like 3 or 4 multiplications, which for seniors I've seen it's kind of a challenge sometimes. And another big challenge is getting a copy of the form, because a lot of people have access to the internet, but most people awful lot of people don't have computers, don't have printers at home. They have the computer, they don't have.
So
the
it's
printer.
not an online form to submit. It's something you have to print out and fill out.
Well, you can get the form online, but you have to print it and fill it out and
Okay.
mail it in.
Okay.
You know, so my little thing here says like go see the library, but. So anyway, I mean, I'm really proud of myself
You do,
that I
yeah.
got the bill through and going to get a lot of people, you know, extra money. But I thought that was the end of it, but it's not the end. I've got to figure out how they use it.
Is Marianne aware of this? Thinking about welfare, and there seems to be some overlap there
There's
potentially.
also Linda Buffington, the tax collector, she sits with a lot of people and does this form with them because
Oh,
they
great.
need a copy of their tax card.
Yep.
So maybe if anyone's interested, she does work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. They could reach out to her and see if she would have time and when.
Yeah.
Senior
That's lovely.
Center is good for the people that go down there. They absolutely know how to fill it out. They're aware of that. So anyway, so that's
we
one.
put an article on our website. that
Has
just
this
basically-
bill been signed into law?
Oh, yes. It was a bill from last year. It got signed into law last year, but it's effective just now. This is the date that it's starting.
Yep.
So the other thing I wanted to also tell you about the bill that I sponsored this year that's through the House, through the Senate, and the governor's going to sign it. There's no doubt about that. And that has to do with the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. It's located now on the property that used to be the state school, and that's up for sale. The state's trying to sell that whole parcel of 216 acres. And it's the governor and executive council that have the authority to sell it. And when they passed the bill last year, they forgot about mutual aid and the 911 call center. So my bill says if the property sells, then it's a responsibility of the state to move the 911 call center and Lakes Region Mutual Aid. Either they have to exclude that property from the sale, or they have to move them to another location and build them a building. So the state would take care of 911 anyway, because that belongs to the state, but mutual aid doesn't. So without some kind of special written accommodation, mutual fire aid was facing the situation of they could get kicked out of the building, and then they'd be asking Plymouth and the other 35 towns to cough up the money to build them a new center, which would cost millions of dollars. But it's going to be fine, because the governor's going to sign that bill, and they've the state, the executive branch, has already made an arrangement with Laconia for a piece of property that's very close by, and it's state property. It was leased to Laconia, but they're going to give Laconia a parcel of state land, and Laconia is going to let them out of the lease, and they're going to put it on Meredith Center Road near the ball field, if you know where that is. It's not too far from where they are now. And they're probably like drinking champagne because they're going to get a brand new building instead of staying in their old 50-year-old building. So that's going to work out, and it's going to be paid for with ARPA money, and they could use some money from the sale of the property. But that ARPA money has to be obligated by December of 2024, and it has to be spent by December of 2026. So my assumption is that the state will move fairly quickly to get, all the contracts and the design and everything, and have that built in the new location within a couple of years, is what I'm thinking. So that's good for you, because you won't have to be paying for a new mutual aid center.
Yes.
And there are two other bills that I think you might have some interest in. One of them, there's nobody here from the police, but the bail reform bill. I don't know if any of you have been following that. I'm pretty sure that that's not going to pass, because there are 3 or 4 different factions. They all hate it for different reasons, so I don't think that will pass at all. And House Bill 1661 has to do with affordable housing. And at one time, that bill had things in it that said, like, every municipality, if on your space that has town sewer and water, you have to let, what was it could be just a single house on that property, and you had to let somebody break that into like as 3 or 4 apartments. And it's kind of like, I found it to be really outrageous that the state would be telling towns, what they could do in terms of zoning. But that has been scaled back, and if it does pass, it's not going to be very onerous. What they have left is pretty much just money to use for training of planning boards into different options that are available. And this is actually, and the other thing they did is they put this in a bill. This is 4 pages related to affordable housing, and it's in a bill that's 27 pages long, because they threw in all these other projects. They threw in some health and human service issues, and they put in the state, the parking garage for legislators, which is going to cost $10 million. So I think the bill might get support from the legislators, who are pretty, enthusiastic about the idea of getting a new parking garage. So those are the only 4 bills that I had to tell you about. So I just want to, I'll let you have this, in case anybody wants to look at it.
So arguably, the old parking garage is breaking down, so.
Oh, yeah, if you've ever seen it, it's a hazard.
And you're trying to.
I was told that they built it something like, I don't know, maybe like 45 years ago, and it was only supposed to last for 25. But they've hung netting over the ceiling because the concrete was falling off the ceiling, so that kind of thing.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll
I was-
park on the top floor.
I was first elected to the legislature in '76, and it was brand new when I went down there.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so we're talking about 50 years, and it was only supposed to last for 25.
I just didn't build them.
That's how old I am.
I thought the sale of the Laconia State School was co-opted by the governor. And I thought it went back to the committee that was, the gentleman that was doing, what's his name? He was like heading up a committee that was looking at the sale, and they were going to sell it. The governor took it away, and then I thought it went back to them.
The whole thing,
The Pease Air Force Base project was coordinated by that same guy.
I don't know what that is.
Over in Dover, or Portsmouth.
Well, and
Before, yeah.
partly I'm not sure I'm hearing your whole question here.
The gentleman that organized the retooling or reworking of the Pease Air Force Base was appointed to head up the Laconia State School sale. And then it was taken away by the governor. He said, don't worry, I'll take care of the sale. And then I thought it got given back to that gentleman and, like a committee.
Are you trying, the commission?
Yeah, there was a
Lakes
commission.
Oh, yes. Well, they put together that commission like 10 years ago
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
And it, from the research I did, it appeared that they never accomplished much of anything. So I think that's one of the things, but I didn't want to take on that fight.
Yeah.
Like, there was a representative in Laconia that wanted to give it back to that commission, but my focus was totally on mutual
Right.
fire aid.
Okay.
Okay. If you have any issues, if you have any thoughts about what you think you might need for a bill next year, it would be good to tell me within like the next couple of months, because you got to file your bill in the window that they give you to file it. So, and that's assuming that I get reelected. But the new district, I don't know if you know this, but what was Plymouth, Holderness, and Hebron is now Plymouth, Holderness, and Ashland, which is I like as less driving.
Go ahead.
No. So yeah, we are thinking about putting together some legislation and seeking legislative help to. We were moved at our town meeting to follow up with taxing, or at least somehow recouping monies from nonprofits, because Plymouth is like 66%, even though it seems kind of high percent nonprofit.
Yeah.
And also for the university as well. And the university has a couple of, statutes that make them exempt, and also the fact that they are also not required to do a pilot. So that would also be nice to retool that one.
Do you know, do they exempt non-profits or do they exempt charities?
It's charities. I read it recently. It's charity. It doesn't say nonprofit. It says charity. And then there's I think there's 6 classifications, and it's like charitable, charitable institutions or for charitable purposes. And one category is is schools that are privately owned, and then so there's like a few different categories under the RSA.
Yeah, I don't know that much about those categories, but it seems to me it would have to be, this is probably what would happen. The best thing to do would probably be a study committee. And you'd say, we want to put together a study committee or commission, and they need to look at, for one thing, how much is this costing the towns, and what are their options, do we have? What do other states do? And one thing that occurs to me is sometimes you have an organization and they're not for-profit, or they're a not-for-profit organization, but the part of them that's really a charity of something they're actually giving is maybe only a small portion of it.
Right. Which I would say, it feels like things like a hospital, which is a nonprofit organization, but it is not 100% of what that hospital does is not charitable work. Yeah. As an example, right? One of the bigger examples.
I think that's a good idea, and that's also the kind of thing I know for sure you're not going to get from where you are to where you want to be in 1 year, but that's something that
A multi-year, long process. But I think, at least for me personally, if we're going to continue to have a tax system in this state that's almost entirely based on property tax, we do have to find a way to deal with that, right? We don't have sales tax, we don't have income tax. That we're not intending to introduce these things. You can't have big chunks of towns that have costs of service and costs of infrastructure that there's no way to get the investment back on that.
So, like another way to approach this.
Yeah, come sit with us, Sally.
So another way to approach this issue is when you consider the fact that there are only 2 states in the entire union that have neither a sales or an income tax, and that would be Alaska and New Hampshire. And if somehow we can move from everybody who runs for governor is expected to take a pledge that they will never, allow an income tax or a sales tax, if we can move from that to a discussion about like what is really fair taxation, that would move in the right direction also.
That sounds like a much more complicated.
Yeah, define fair.
But maybe not.
I was kind of hoping for not a study committee, though.
Because that takes forever.
It's like almost doom,
Well, that's really the only solution. I mean,
I happen to have spoken to a person that might be running for governor, and he said he would not let that happen. What I was suggesting is that...
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
If we can get, and that's been going on since Meldrum Thompson was governor, which, I wasn't even old enough to vote then, and I'm pretty old now, so I think New Hampshire is unique, and not everything about it is really admirable. So...
I got the first veto override of any legislation on Governor Mel Thompson.
Well,
It was you?
That would have been a big accomplishment too, because man, everybody
It was record-breaking.
just loved
He
him.
didn't like me very much.
He didn't like too many people, actually.
Axe the tax, Thompson. So, that's it.
Okay. Any other questions for Representative Fellows?
Everybody's interested in this housing.
Well, another thing, so that was like an overreach as far as like, local control, the housing thing.
Oh, yes.
But they already have the, I think we kind of like talked about that as well during that meeting with the guy that's running for governor. But for the fact that the planning board, authority, whatever, oversight for, town planning boards, somebody can appeal a decision to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so essentially, the state has already overreached on taking away, local authority.
That apparently they put some fixes into that, and I guess that there don't really seem I haven't heard about like many complaints about that, actually. Has Plymouth had that situation?
No, I'm just waiting for it to go. I mean, so it's one of our decisions to be appealed. I haven't seen it yet, but, so no, we haven't had any problems yet.
Yeah.
But I see it when it does occur, and I'm thinking, well, geez, that seems kind of like,
And it would be even harder for a little town with somebody goes into a little town and wants to put in, 25 housing units or a development or something, but we'll just see. So, thanks for doing all this work.
Yes, and thank you
I
as
live
well.
in Holderness, but I moved to Plymouth when I was 12. And when I left Holderness, when I left Plymouth, I only went 3 miles away, so.
and thank you for all you do. 'Cause
Thank you.
I see the hearings and see you sitting there putting up a lot of stuff,
I
so,
look forward to when we won't have to wear masks at all anymore down there.
yep.
Our final guest of the evening, Steve Rand.
Mr. Steve Rand. Come on, Dan.
I think I was supposed to be on the agenda. Grace Garvey sent me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is there any way I can talk?
Well, yeah, we'll have an opportunity after Steve's
I'm-
This
report.
is going to be a very.
I'm happy to insert you onto the agenda.
What does that mean?
After Steve, I want to get.
Okay,
Take it away.
good. So this is going to be a whiz-bang high-tech presentation. And here it is.
Let's return to yesteryear.
Yes, return, well, sort of.
Yeah.
I think they call that augmented reality.
This is augmented reality. So here this morning, I saw Dr. Dan O'Neill out there putting his mail in the post office box. And
He had to get out of his car, I took it.
And I said, Dan, I need some help. So I had this little cutout of the proposed post office.
Oh, cool.
Drive-up letterbox. Post office box. And I think this would be a great idea. And if you can figure it out, that's where I propose that we do it.
So it used to be there.
Where is that?
It was
No,
the post
it's
office
on the
post
green, one of
office.
those little.
Had one at
There
the
was one
Hatch
at Hatch
Plaza.
So when you go across through to
Oh,
North
okay.
Bay.
But that's the
I see.
this is-
Yep, I
this
see
is-
exactly what you're talking about. Yep,
That's-
the little mini cross street,
It's not
Gotcha.
high-tech enough. So
Oh,
the
which
little
in theory
cross-
wouldn't block
cross
any
up the
traffic
street,
because
so it
It's
has
the
the
archipelago.
advantage of being on the
Minimal.
driveway.
Good.
Minimal.
Right,
It's
right.
an idea.
Look who's talking here. It has a great advantage of being on the driver's side, so you drive up, put your money in,
put your money in the mailbox.
Well,
They
no,
suggest you don't do that.
But Dan had to expect several steps to get over here to put the money, to put his letter in that box. And this could relieve some of the parking needs over here. And also, I think it would be whiz-bang for us, high-tech, whiz-bang like we are, okay? So, I talked to the postmaster, and he said, well, we're gonna need to have the town's blessing on this. And I don't know if I can get the mailboxes anymore, but I know that DeJoy,
He crunched them.
like
Yeah.
thousands of them,
Yeah.
so they're out there somewhere, right?
Some warehouse.
So, if we are aggressive enough to get one of these and place it there, I think that would serve the public well.
Do we have to
That
do
sounds
anything
like
with
a
the
good idea.
postal office to? Are
They
on
said it
board
was
with this?
okay.
Well,
Okay.
they're looking for your okay on this idea, and I think at
Okay
this
with
point
it.
we're just working on and we will probably need a real proposal, public works type proposal. I don't know why we need it, but that's the way things go, right?
has to be a certain height. like
Oh,
you
yeah.
can-
No, it's not
Oh,
more
right,
than
can't
35
block,
feet.
right?
I don't think there's any
Snow
visibility
plows.
question.
I was gonna say I would have questions for 3 departments:
Mhm.
Parks and Rec, because they maintain the grass and such.
Yeah.
Is it a pain in the butt for them?
Of course.
Highway in terms of snow removal. Is there any concerns there? And then police in terms of traffic. Is there any concerns there? But
Right. Well, that's why I'm
conceptually very
Because you
supportive,
know
but
who to consult. So
maybe
leave it with
Kathy
you.
brings it to a department
Nice.
meeting.
Leave it with you and
See if anybody thinks it's a terrible idea.
I know you met with the postmaster, but so He has no problem sending somebody over there to like open a box up and grab the.
Well, it could be a little tricky in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And I pointed out to him that he's got a crosswalk that gets him over to this.
Yeah,
Right?
but then he has to-
It's no worse or better than any other wintertime situation, as far as I can see.
Okay.
But, I mean, sure, we can find the problems for it, but I prefer to look for the opportunities.
Wow.
I like the parking idea.
Now, your parking angle is your strongest point, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes it super easy. You just breeze in.
Yeah, just like potentially taking some load off of parking.
Also easing the parking needs in front of this. This is hardly ever used.
Mhm.
I don't know if you noticed, but it is hardly ever used. And there's room for a couple of cars easily. If there's a backup, if somebody gets there and they can't turn left right away.
And it reduces the number of people backing out.
They can go
in front
around
of
the common again.
office, which stops everything.
You are right on it.
Whiz bang.
Yeah,
Whiz bang.
Whiz bang.
It is whiz bang. Now, I could bring you this in, but this is Dan's hand. It's from the hand of Dan. He happens to, he bought in onto this concept. If you ask anybody, they'll say, "Oh, that's a great idea," and I think we should do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sold.
Okay. Is that 5 minutes?
That was fun. That was a little bit more, but one.
So we'll work
Can you
on
give
it.
those pictures to Kathy, so she can share it with Highway Police?
Gotta give them away.
Those were like their colors, so they cost them like 50 cents to
Those are
print.
cutting edge pictures. I actually have a little cut. I bought a little plastic one of those things that's coming tomorrow.
this is the
You're just gonna put it there?
So we can stick it out there and say, "Hey, what do you think?"
Coming soon. Coming
Right
soon.
out.
All right. So
No, this is you're going up Highland
one other
Street
subject,
this way.
and that
So you're
is,
going
do you,
across
Oh,
the
you-
bay.
This is Tupper. Oh,
Tupper
yeah,
Island.
that's right.
Kathy, do you know the RSA that has to do with allowing, that the town could adopt, that has to do with allowing property that's improved to skip the extra taxes for a period of time? There's an RSA 179 or something like that. I didn't come prepared with it, but there's an RSA that is, what is that
I don't have
called?
my phone. I could look
Like a
at it.
TIF?
It's enabling legislation that allows the towns to adopt this RSA and it would be an economic development issue.
Like a TIF district? 'Cause
Not
that puts
no, all
off.
it does is, it says, if you sign up under this RSA, you get, you don't get taxed at the enhanced value of your building for, I believe it's 5 years. So it's a little carrot for people who are doing improvements, and I believe you can define an area as well. So I'd like
To encourage renovation and
right. So it
without.
encourages renovation and improvement of structures, and it allows that additional taxation to be
Deferred.
well, not deferred, but actually avoided for the period.
Avoided
of-
until
until
for a
until the
period
end
of
of the
time.
period, and then it comes online.
Mhm.
I think it would be good to have. I think we need to encourage
Development?
revitalization.
Yes, I like that.
Well, good to have, or it's already there, and
Well,
people
I think
don't.
it's a matter of the town adopting it.
And is it who adopts it? Is it the
town
is it
has
the
to
town
adopt it. So
at a meeting,
It'll
annual
have to
meeting?
go on a warrant, and the town adopts it, RSA XYZ. Sorry, I don't have that number, but I can give it to you. That will allow this improvement district. But it's not a TIF. That's
Yeah,
too
okay.
complicated.
That's what I was thinking of going back there,
It
but
was too complicated when we tried it before.
it's not that complicated. It was with Bill, because whatever, it wasn't really done correctly, but.
Okay, so anyway, think I want to put that one on the in your thinker. And I probably have other things too, but
5 minutes are up.
That's
now the 5 minutes is definitely Jamie's up.
Budget committee, always doing
I'm
just
staying
that.
for that.
Yeah.
And we were shot down and said, no, we couldn't do it.
Well, it's a law, then I guess we can have the town do it.
Yeah.
Could you introduce yourself as well, so we
Yeah.
have it for minutes?
Yes, so I'm Jamie Cronin. I am here as the vice chair of the Plymouth Energy Commission. So in 2012, you guys had supported the New Hampshire Electric Co-op with converting the streetlights that they own and maintain to be converted to LEDs. And then that was halted. So they were able to convert over half of them. And so what I'm proposing is that we complete the rest of the project. So there's 230 streetlights that the co-op maintains, and currently there's 110 that are left to be converted. I met with Bill Johnstone from the co-op on Thursday. He said that the co-op will do this for free. The savings would be, I mean, I can give you some numbers, but that would actually save the town a lot of money. We had discussed in the commission, you know, the improvements on light pollution that would happen throughout town. You know, the fixtures that they're on are actually, it's called dark sky. So it's gonna, again, just improve things across the board. So I'm not quite sure where we go from here, if I can just get your approval to move forward, or if you need me to present something formally. But I just wanted to touch base with you about completing this project that had already kind of
Did Bill ask that you go to the town, or?
Grace did. I'm new to the commission, so she always likes to get your approval before we move forward with anything. So
Do we know why the project stopped?
because the last energy commission had an issue with the lights that the co-op was installing, and we've now discussed with Bill that he has 3 different lights, I think, and the commission thinks they're great, so there's no problem.
So we're not going to be replacing the old ones?
Nope,
the old
ones,
new ones?
Yep, those are going to stay. Those 130 that have already been replaced, we love. So we just want to finish the project.
So there's 130 in place and 230 more to do.
110 more to do, so
110
240 in
more to do,
total.
240 total.
Yep. And so what the co-op will do is they'll do, so 25% of the project. So again, 50%'s already been completed. So there'll be 25% will be done in a year. So this should take 2 years. Again, completely free of charge by the co-op. So no cost to the town. It would actually save us money.
So I think that's, well, you know, but it was like phase before, and we did like phase 2, and then that was it?
And then stopped, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was like because of the past energy commission's issues with it, which have since been, or they no longer exist, so.
I see no reason to avoid it.
I'd say let's make a motion so that it's very clear charge to make it
I'll
happen.
make a motion to support the effort of replacing the light fixtures and with LEDs for the remaining 110 fixtures. Post-haste.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
What?
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we place a street light at the intersection of Loon Lake Road and Fairground Road.
Okay.
It's a slightly different question, but we just recently added some streetlights on over here, and so we know how to do that now.
You do.
Okay.
I don't think that's.
All right,
should be
I
part
won't.
of
Yeah.
this.
I'll drop
I was
my
saying
amendment.
we can't
I just
add
wanna get it
any more
in there.
streetlights.
I think we don't even need them because that's cost on that's not that high.
No.
If we think that's, we'll discuss that after.
There's been more cars wound up in Cody's pasture, I'm telling you, because they couldn't find the road.
It's true. Anyway, I know of one lamp that should not be replaced, but I don't think I'll throw his name under the bus, but, you know, he doesn't want to see a lamp outside of his house, and it's currently out.
Somebody's tired of a lamp. Oh, it's out. Is that
Yeah,
not
it's
right?
been out
too
for a
bad.
while.
Yeah. I'll admit I had to add blackout curtains to one side of my bedroom so that the light stopped bugging me.
Yeah,
too,
and that's
but-
the nice thing about the ones that they're now using is that the LED technology's improved. So instead of it being this like big orb light that kind of casts,
Focused.
Relay.
and they also had the fixtures. It used to be called sag lighting, so you'd actually see it if you looked at it from like a 90 degree. You would actually see the light, and now they're set up. I'm trying to think of. They're called flat glass And so you actually don't see them. So it really improved.
Just shines downwards.
Just shines down in a very
Lights the street.
specific space. So the technology's improved since 2012.
Love it.
That's great.
We're done with the discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Any
Awesome.
opposed? Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks. So I have your approval to move forward as the commission to talk to. Okay, cool.
Make it happen.
Thank you.
So blessed.
Loon Lake Road?
Yeah, Loon Lake Road needs a light.
Is that Loon Lake and
Or
Fairgrounds?
Chason?
Yeah.
No, not Chason.
Loon Lake and-
Chason has
Chason later.
one.
Well, I wasn't sure which one he was really
Yeah,
talking
no,
I
Loon
think
Lake
you're
and
probably,
Fairground.
you're probably right. That's probably a good place to add one.
We'll see what we can do.
Oh, you don't even need a motion.
No.
Let it be done.
Well, I'm not sure we ever discussed it here, but while I was doing my ride along with Officer Diamond, he told me the story about the research he had done on this, I don't know, 200-foot strip of street off of, it's not Russell, it's the next one up.
Winter?
Is that Winter? Between Langdon, so Langdon, Winter, Russell, is that what it is? Anyway,
No.
yeah, depends on which direction you
The street goes straight up.
Yeah, but it's Winter. So on Winter Street, they had seen when he looked back at the records, this like 200-foot section of road, they had done, I don't know, a ridiculous number of arrests.
Oh, yeah, that's Winter
Just
Street.
this one little section of road. But prior to that, they hadn't really done many. And so he saw this study that said if you add more lighting, you can reduce arrests. And so they put two new lights there, and they saw an immediate drop in
Arrests.
in groups and
Behavior.
people doing nefarious activities in that particular area of town.
Well, they still have groups out there.
Still have groups, but it's not.
Just move them.
But they're
But they're
moving.
bright.
Yeah. But they were having, in particular, they were having problems with, like gangs and drugs and that in that very specific spot, and they moved it along.
Was the tiny house the center of action there or something?
No, other end.
the bottom
other
of the
end,
hill.
Other end.
There.
At the
Okay.
Pleasant Street end.
Down in
Gotcha.
the,
All
Pleasant
right.
Street end.
It's just now moved down the street.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So Officer Diamond was very proud of the research and change he had made on the town. That's it for new and other business. Neil, you owe us a planning board update.
Okay, the planning board met on May 19th. There's an ongoing application from New Car, the Ford dealer. They are working on a more engineered proposal for stormwater. So their hearing was postponed until June 16th. Kevin French was representing the developer for number 1 Boulder Point Drive, McNulty. No, not McNulty, it's McGinley.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a plan for a 2-lot subdivision just adjacent to and up the hill on the left from Aroma Joe's. And that application was accepted and approved. And,
What's being built there?
well, there's going to be a business called Rap City.
Well, is
that was
that far
already
up?
That was already approved.
Yeah.
No.
They relocated it.
Well,
guess so.
they put another lot in there and they
Yeah, it's clear cut,
reconfigured
right?
it.
Yeah, closer to
They got a
Tractor
third
I wonder what
lot.
that was, because I thought Rap City was down the
It was
hill.
going to share the driveway with the Roma Joe's.
Yeah, they had to change it. So their Rap City is going to sell sandwiches. And the third lot, there's no prospective company to go there at this time. And then the owner of Tenny Mountain Country Store, Ankit Patel, put in an application for a 2,400 square foot addition to his building, which is slightly larger than his existing store. And we gave him conditional approval. He needs to come in with little more details on his plan. And it doesn't look like it's going to have any negative impact. We did a review of our meeting, our downtown walk that we had at the previous meeting. We discussed the height limit on buildings and a possible change in zoning. The reason why they have a 35-foot height limit is because the ladders in the fire department didn't go any higher.
Okay.
And so now we have something that goes 120 feet, I guess. So I don't think we're going to have 120-foot buildings down there. But they, there's a lot of discussion about trying to keep the appearance of Main Street, the historic appearance, and yet there are buildings that could be higher than 35 feet on the back side. So there was discussion about form-based code zoning, which is fit in form and function in the village commercial zone. And we discussed proposed site plan regulations and site plan review and capital costs for town departments. Riverside Landing, it has signed and closed on the conservation and trail easements and escrow accounts. But they can't, the only thing holding up their project in between Bank of New Hampshire and Dunkin' Donuts is some details with the DES that they have to fulfill. And then they'll be ready to go. And then Frank Miller spoke on economic development and parking planning and the need for a mix of different types of businesses in the village commercial zone. And he said that we really need about 250 more parking spaces to have adequate parking. That was it.
Speaking of planning, do we see that Tenny Mountain sold?
I heard that.
Yeah.
Tenny Mountain sold?
Oh, yeah.
It's sold back to Sir Michael.
Well, Sir Michael's...
Well, no, Sir Michael's
got,
still part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's see,
Yeah,
I
it
got the
was-
guy's name here.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be, crap. What's the, we met with the guy,
Some kind of development group, I thought.
Yeah, it was a development group.
yeah, but at least Sir Michael is still in the picture versus getting
Right.
cut out of the picture.
He's
Yes,
involved.
still involved, yeah.
Not Stan Kelly, Ed Kelly,
His name's Kelly.
yeah.
Not
But
Ed
nothing
Kelly.
at the planning board level for that yet. That's pretty hot
No,
off the presses, I would think.
No, they plan on having sports camps. They're gonna get the ski area going. They got, I think it's the Rockland Trust Companies doing financing. It's good, clean money. Yeah. You know, we've had all kinds of
The
things happen up
alternative.
there.
It's concerning that you have to say that it's good, clean.
It is a little
Well,
concerning.
Yeah.
Neil, while you've got the mic, why don't you tell us about Conservation Commission as well?
Okay, we had a guest named Luke Hurley he's a certified wetland scientist, works for Gove Environmental, a highly regarded firm, and he had a presentation. Let's see if I can nail it down. I'm trying to remember what it was. It wasn't. Oh, it's out on Yetton Road. When you go out on Yetton Road and you're heading south, and you go by the the sewer line pump station. On your just beyond it, before you cross the bridge over the brook, on the right, he has a client who bought a large tract of land, but he can't get to it. So they have to go across. They have to get a wetlands permit to go across poorly drained soils, and there's also a small area of VP soil, very poorly drained. And he had a very good plan. The guy wants to just have get across this wet area so that he can have a road going to the uplands in the back where he wants to build a house. And Conservation Commission thought it was really good, and so we encouraged him to go forward with his plan. That will help him to expedite the time frame for approval. Other than that, we talked about the Yellow Book appraisal, which is for the Oxbow project, and will be paid. We paid our half, and Holderness is going to pay their half soon. And that's part of the grant process for the development of the wildlife natural area, which is a very large area between the Pemmy River and the Irving and the Big Apple and the Interstate 93 and the golf course. So that's the Big Oxbow, they call it, and that's land that belongs to Plymouth.
Yeah,
And
on the other
it
side of the river.
abuts Holderness, so Holderness is in on it with us, and they're energized too. And let's see, Meredith Flynn from the Energy Commission came and discussed trail connectivity, collaboration, and a plan for a crosswalk on Tenny Mountain Highway. And we're going to have a joint meeting between Energy and Conservation. If we were to extend the sidewalk from Burger King to the traffic light, the state promised that they would put in a walk light and a crosswalk on Tenny Mountain Highway. Actually, it's a really dangerous situation right now. There's so much pedestrian traffic out there, and the traffic is crazy. People don't obey the law. They do all kinds of crazy things. Ever since COVID came along, there's been like a nosedive in the responsibility of people driving on the roads. That's my opinion. Okay. I'm sure everybody's observed that. But on May 24th, that's tomorrow, the DES is going to have a monitoring training session, and at 8 a.m. at the Plymouth Mountain Trailhead, and at 11 a.m. at the Walter Newton Trailhead. So that's going to be state. Lady named Jocelyn Duffy from DES is going to offer a training session for people who are maintaining trails.
Nice.
And SB 267 has passed both House and Senate, waiting for the governor's signature. It regards upland invasive species coordinator position for the state. And I think we really need it. Look at the Oriental bittersweet and Japanese knotweed and all the invasive species that are displacing all of our native vegetation. And Tenny Mountain is now in phase 2, and they're identifying new locations for trails. That's a ski area.
Wow.
And they want to work with the town. That was it.
It's a lot. Thank you. Energy Commission, Bill?
I understand we're gonna put the remaining lamps in, bobbers and streetlights.
They say.
That was 111.
Solid.
10.
10.
No, 109. And Steve Whitman will be happy.
Oh,
Yep.
the guy that doesn't like the light.
Well, so we're meeting tomorrow, and we're going to be looking at the 3 responders from the RFP or
Nice.
Q, whatever. So that'll be interesting. And
Is that officially closed now? And tomorrow's or
yeah,
Closed last week.
good. And we got 3 responses, you said?
Sunday. Yeah, three apparently 3 responses. And PERLAC is actually meeting next week, and also PERLAC is going out tomorrow morning at 8, so I guess we won't be doing the trail maintenance thing, but we're doing the VRAP thing. We test the water on 5 sites along the Pemmy and the Mad
Max
River.
Stamp.
Max, myself, Sue Ellen from Campton, and Myrtle from Thornton. You're invited too. if
I'd
you'd
love
like,
to go, but I'm booked.
Someday.
I'm
Yep.
booked up.
But that's pretty much it.
TED, Advisory Budget Committee?
They have not met.
No meeting. Plymouth Village Water Sewer District, Sewer Water District Town Infrastructure Committee. That's you, Neil.
Me?
Apparently.
I'm not on Plymouth Village Water and Sewer. That's a misprint.
PVSWD,
Typo.
Town infrastructure.
Town Infrastructure. It's not the
No,
regular
no,
Village
it's-
Water
Hey.
Sewer.
But why
It's-
is there an infrastructure?
What is this
No
one?
idea.
I think this is just a review, make sure everybody knows what's going on with the Main Street project.
Oh.
That's what it is.
We already talked
Jim
about
hadn't
that.
been there tonight to tell you everything that's
Yes, this is just, this means Main Street project. I
Who's
gotcha.
supposed to be Plymouth Village the Infrastructure Committee?
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
been done.
Yeah.
No meeting.
The way it's written, it's not immediately.
Yeah,
clear.
no
Right,
meeting.
right.
I used to be on Water and Sewer Commission.
Yeah, but that's Mary Ann now.
Me no.
Yeah, you can have it.
That is all of the
Interesting.
published items, so we'll move to public comments.
I have a question.
Public has no comment.
Thank you.
Free of
Have
comments
we
in the
had a
public.
response yet from our letter that we sent to the state?
I have not heard from anyone, Neil.
I was looking at that intersection, and they've got a left turn arrow going into the co-op, and the co-op has a sign that says "Do not enter."
Right.
Yeah.
And they got coming east, they got a left turn arrow pointing at a guardrail. And the
Subtle
solid line is completely wiped out, so there's a dotted line going westward all the way through the intersection, a passing line. That's the condition of the intersection right now. And the signage and the striping is terrible.
No response though, huh?
Well, no response yet.
When did we send that letter?
We could write them another letter.
2 weeks ago?
Either
Week
the
and a half?
13th or last Monday. I have to check.
So there might not have been enough time.
It's written down, and do you have a brown folder there?
Is it in here?
It is in there, just, what's the date it says on the top?
No, that's not the right one.
No.
That's not the right one. I don't see it anywhere here.
It's in there. I didn't take that.
I didn't think
No, it was just a one-page sheet.
No.
It wasn't mailed very long ago, for sure.
Are we good to adjourn? Should we? There's a process and next steps thing we should talk about in non-public briefly. It's personnel related.
Okay.
Briefly. It doesn't need, it's going to be, in my opinion. So I'm making the motion, apparently. RSA 91A:32A personnel.
Second.
Neil.
Aye.
Marianne.
Aye.
Zach, aye. Bill.
Aye.
Ted. Okay.